This is primarily a health crisis, and the improvement in our economic performance has been off the back of the containment of the virus across the country. If you look at the deaths per million here in Australia, it's just above 30. In Canada, it's above 500. In the United States, tragically, it's above 1,500. Next slide. That's today's story. Off the back of record growth last quarter, 3.1% this quarter, down through the year, 1.1%. Much better than either the RBA or Treasury were forecasting last year. This slide gives you a sense of what is happening in terms of real GDP. As you can see, it's better than we have forecast and better than we were expecting. Twice as fast and 6 months earlier than we were forecasting in last year's budget. There is still, though, a long way to go, and you really don't know what's around the corner. But that is a very encouraging graph for the Australian economy. Next slide. The next slide goes to contributions to real GDP growth. And as you can see, it is very much a broad-based recovery. Household consumption, nearly 60% of GDP, contributed 2.3 percentage points. Dwelling investment off the back of the home builder program. New business investment off the back of the expanded instant asset write-off. Continued public final demand with government investment in infrastructure. And then, of course, ownership transfer costs, which relates to the property sector, conveyancing, stamp duties, real estate agents, changes in inventories, net exports. The sum total is 3.1% growth. Household consumption, as restrictions are eased, as confidence is coming back, people are getting about spending with a 4.3% increase. Next slide. Again, you're seeing the vast majority of the categories being up. Purchase of vehicles, people taking public transport or private transport, going out, cafes and restaurants, purchasing footwear, recreation and culture, all of which, furnishings and household equipment, all of which are adding to economic growth when we see 13 out of the 17 categories seeing particular growth. Strongest quarterly growth since 2015, 4.1%, and importantly, it's up through the year as well. Next slide. It's very encouraging to see what is happening on business investment, because with investment, you not only get the immediate job creation and economic activity, but you also get longer-term gains to the economy from a productivity boost. And our incentives on business investment have helped see the 2.6% increase. Now, if you break that down to non-mining investment, that's at 3.3% increase. And if you look at mining investment, it's 1.4%. This is pretty pleasing for Australia's farmers today. Off the second best winter crop on record, a 33.3% increase for the quarter. Next slide. Nominal GDP growth. Now, there's a strong terms of trade story here. Iron ore prices are substantially up as well, travelling above $150 a tonne. Let's not forget we put it in the budget at $55 a tonne free on board. But nominal GDP growth, 4.2% up, and importantly, it's up for the year, up through the year. So that augurs well as well for the budget. Next slide. The wages bill of the economy, up 2% through the year, 1.5% for the quarter. Again, people are coming back to work. Next slide. This is really important because, as I said, there's $240 billion that's been accumulated on balance sheets that was not there this time last year. As people couldn't travel, couldn't spend, government support was continuing, and we've seen a dramatic reduction in the household savings ratio from 18% down to 12%. It's still around 3 times what it was at pre-pandemic levels, but again, it's a positive sign. I want to dwell on the next 2 final slides because this puts Australia's economic performance in a global context. In terms of international real GDP growth, quarter on quarter, compared to G7 nations, Australia stands tall. Australia stands tall amongst other advanced economies based on our economic performance over the course of the last 12 months in the face of the biggest economic shock since the Great Depression and the first pandemic in a century. Next slide. This is where you can see for the calendar year 2020, we're down at 2.5%, and other major economies are significantly higher, and as you can see with the UK economy 9.9%. That is a testament to the economic hit that COVID-19 has had on the global economy.